Hello, my beautiful infinite souls. I'm Luna, and this podcast is named Infinite Souls, as I already mentioned. Welcome. This is my first episode. This podcast will basically be me on my own, sometimes with guests, rambling about what it is that I'm going through as far as spiritual expansion, any lessons or messages that Spirit, Creator, Source has for the people, for the collective, that I can be a voice for. And so I always will set an intention, say a prayer, make sure that I'm grounded and meditated before I record a podcast, so that the connection is clear and we can get the message that is meant to come through. So with that said, let's begin this episode. I'm going to cover the question, what is spirituality? So people often ask what spirituality means for me. And I'll tell you this, we are all spiritual beings having human experiences on this third dimensional density, right? And so spirituality is something that comes natural to all of us because we are spirits. And nowadays, since the New Age movement, spirituality has been falsely, They've actually tried to ruin the name of spirituality, right? They meaning the powers that be, the 1%, the media, the people that control the narrative for the collective unconscious, right? So we're all part of the collective consciousness. Some are, I guess you would say, unconscious, some are conscious, although I don't really like those terms too much, because I feel like it creates some type of hierarchy or separation, which I do not like. Because I'm all for unity and for love and helping each other out, But to get back to my topic about what spirituality is. So spirituality is going to look different for every single human being because we are all unique emanations of the divine, right? So since we're all spiritual beings, we got that covered. Now spirituality is your practice. Whatever you do every day. The things that you do to connect you to Source or God or Creator, whoever you believe in. Maybe your higher self, maybe your future self, Sitting in meditation and prayer. Some people don't meditate. They'll do other practices like breath work, for example. But that all kind of, honestly, it's all similar to meditation. Like I'm an avid meditator. I'm an avid meditator, and I've also done breath work. Breath work is a lot more involved in the body, and it moves a lot of energy that you're like, what? So it's a very cleansing, healing process. And meditation is more relaxed, but you access different parts of your energy body through both practices, which is tapping into the consciousness, to your Christ consciousness that you have in your mind, Well, it's not necessarily in the mind. The location of it is, debatable, I guess. But it is important that I do mention that spirituality is what you make it. Okay? So if you have a practice every day of connecting to Source or God, that is your practice. That is your spirituality. And And sometimes like before I had awakened and created a spiritual practice of my own, I called myself spiritual, which was actually true because we are all spirits, right? However, I was not doing the work. I was very much spiritually bypassing. I was reading all the books, watching all the videos, but I wasn't actually putting it into play in my life. Integration is very, very important. It's very important that you actually do the healing and do the work yourself, because nobody can do it for you. And by you listening to somebody else's story, it can inspire you and motivate you a great deal, but it won't get the work done. The work just is work. It is what it is, and we're here to learn, and we volunteered to come, which is what I believe. And so I was spiritually bypassing. I was not really doing any healing. I was barely meditating, maybe like once or twice a week, if that. I was heavily drinking. I was using lots of drugs. I was partying all the time, hanging out with people who really were reckless, to say the least. And I realized something had to change for me. I wasn't fulfilled by anything that I was doing. And so I dove into spirituality. Then I started actually doing the work. So spirituality looks different for everyone. But for me, when I think of spirituality, I think of someone who is into things that are unseen, and someone who is actively doing the work. So call it what you want to call it. You can call it spirituality, you can call it consciousness, you can call it love, you can call it just being on a good vibe, whatever you want to call it. The most important thing is you and your connection to all that is, the connection to Source and God, connection to love, because to me that's what God is, love. And so that is what spirituality is. It's your self-awareness that you have God inside of you, and you have worlds within worlds within worlds within you, and that you are an infinite being that is boundless. I love you so much. I hope you enjoyed this message, and I'll see you next time on the Infinite Souls podcast.